The silence between stars. The human pilot drifted alone in the silent darkness. His ship a speck against the endless void for 3 days. Captain Aaron Vance had not heard another human voice. His distress beacon blinked weakly, sending its lonely signal across the cold stars. His fuel reserves were nearly gone, and his oxygen tank whispered a cruel countdown. He looked out the viewport, watching a dying sun burn red and slow. He had fought in wars, crossed asteroid fields, seen the worst the galaxy could offer. But nothing felt as cruel as silence, the kind of silence that felt alive, like something ancient was listening back. Then the sensors chirped just once, a pulse from the darkness. Aaron's hands trembled as he adjusted the comms. The static cleared and a voice spoke, soft, low, and hauntingly beautiful. "Human vessel," it said. "You are far from your kind." Aaron froze. The voice was female, melodic yet commanding. He swallowed hard. "This is Captain Vance of the Terran Navy," he replied. "Identify yourself." There was a pause. Then a faint hum of power rippled through the channel. "I am Queen Lyra of the Valtari Dominion," the voice said. Aaron's chest tightened. Valtari, the race humanity called the unreachable. No human had ever spoken directly to one of them. They were said to dwell in the heart of the Orion Rift, mysterious. Divine and dangerous. The screen flickered, and her image appeared, tall, silver-skinned, with eyes like galaxies folded into violet flame. A crown of living light hovered over her head, shifting with her every breath. Even through the flickering hologram, her presence was overwhelming. "Do you feel lonely, human?" she asked suddenly. Her voice softened, almost like pity. Aaron hesitated, unsure if it was a question, an insult, or something deeper. "Why do you ask?" he replied quietly. Lyra tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "Because the stars themselves whisper your solitude," she said. "Your kind spreads across the void, yet you look more lost than any species I have known." Aaron tried to smile. "Maybe we're just stubborn." Her eyes shimmered. "Or maybe you're broken." The silence returned, heavy, vast, endless. And for the first time, Aaron felt like the stars were watching him, judging him. Her voice echoed once more before fading. "We will see, human, whether loneliness is your curse or your strength." Then the signal died. Only static remained. But in that silence, and something had changed. Aaron didn't feel alone anymore. He didn't know if that was a comfort or a warning, the Queen's invitation. Aaron's ship floated through the dark expanse, every alarm silent except the weak pulse of his failing engines. The encounter with Queen Lyra burned in his mind like a star on the verge of collapse. He couldn't stop thinking about her question. "Do you feel lonely, human?" It was simple, yet it pierced deeper than any enemy's blade. The comms crackled again, almost teasing him. "Human," her voice said. Calm but compelling. Aaron's heart raced. "Yes, Queen Lyra. There is a place where your loneliness can be measured." "Or challenged," she said. Aaron frowned, unsure whether she was offering help or danger. "Explain," he demanded. But he knew it was more than a question. It was a test. A map appeared on his holo display, stars and coordinates forming a spiral of light. "This is the citadel of the Valtari," she explained. "Far from any Terran reach, few of your kind have ever come." "And fewer have returned." Aaron swallowed, feeling a thrill of fear and excitement. He had faced hostile fleets, deadly alien terrains, even black holes. But something about this invitation made the hair on his arms stand. "Why me?" he asked, his voice quieter than he intended. Lyra's violet eyes stared into his soul, her expression impossible to read. "Because," she whispered, "you carry solitude like a weapon, human, and only the weapon can pierce the heart of the Dominion." Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. Was this a trap or an opportunity? He studied the map, the spiral of light leading to a massive uncharted system. The gravity wells looked dangerous, but something about the path called to him. He could almost feel the pull of another presence, watching, waiting, judging without fully understanding why. He engaged the thrusters. The ship surged forward toward the coordinates. The stars shifted around him, bending light as though the universe itself had noticed his movement. Every passing moment made the weight of loneliness heavier, yet paradoxically lighter for the first time. He didn't feel like just a lost human in the void. He felt like a part of something immense, dangerous and alive. As he approached the system, he saw it, the citadel, suspended among 3 suns, its spires twisted upward like frozen lightning. glowing faintly with energy. The ship's sensors could barely comprehend the scale. Aaron's pulse quickened as he prepared for docking. He could hear her voice again, not through comms but in his mind. Step carefully, human. Loneliness can be your strength, or your doom. The docking bay doors opened before his ship even touched the landing pad. No Valtari guards appeared, no welcoming committee, only the echo of silence and the hum of energy. Aaron exhaled, stepping into the Citadel's vast chamber. The air shimmered around him, reality bending in subtle, disorienting ways. Then he saw her, Queen Lyra, standing atop a platform that seemed suspended in midair. Her eyes locked on his, and for a moment the void outside ceased to exist. "Welcome, human," she said, her voice soft but commanding. Aaron realized the weight of her presence, not just her power, but her intention. He didn't know whether he was stepping into danger or destiny. The silence between them grew heavy, filled with unspoken questions, and he understood finally that this was only the beginning. For the first time in his life, Aaron felt the full weight of being truly seen, and with it, the terrifying thrill of loneliness meeting purpose. Trials of the Citadel. Aaron stepped deeper into the Citadel, each footfall echoing across corridors that seemed alive. The walls pulsed with faint energy, shimmering in patterns he couldn't comprehend. Every step made him feel as if the building itself was observing him, weighing his worth. He wondered if this was the test the Queen had promised. Suddenly, the floor shifted beneath him, sliding open like a trapdoor. He stumbled, barely catching himself on a glowing handrail. A voice whispered in his mind, "Courage is not the absence of fear, human, but mastery over it." He froze. Recognizing the cadence of Queen Lyra's words, her presence was near, though unseen. Guiding him, nor testing him. The corridor widened, opening into a vast chamber filled with floating platforms. Each platform glowed with symbols that twisted in impossible ways. Aaron realized he had to jump from one to another, suspended over what looked like a bottomless void. He glanced at the first platform, feeling his stomach twist with unease. The void below seemed to stretch infinitely, swallowing light. But the energy hum around the platform seemed to pulse with a rhythm that called to him. He leapt, heart racing, landing on the first platform. It shifted slightly under his weight, testing his balance. The next jump required more precision, and as he landed, the platform began to rise slowly. Aaron could feel the pressure building. If he misstepped, he could fall endlessly. Yet strangely, he felt exhilarated, alive in a way the vacuum of space had never given him. From the shadows, figures appeared, humanoid in shape, but glowing faintly, their faces hidden. They moved gracefully across the platforms, observing him, silent and unyielding. Aaron realized these were the Citadel's guardians, manifestations of the Queen's will. He didn't attack. He understood instinctively that aggression was futile. Instead, he focused on each step, every leap. Syncing with the pulse of the platforms, the guardians mirrored him, nodding subtly as if approving his progress. Finally, after what felt like hours, he reached the last platform. It hovered just below a grand doorway, carved with flowing alien script. As he stepped forward, the doorway opened, revealing a chamber filled with light and shadows. Queen Lyra appeared, her silver skin shimmering in the luminous room. "Few humans reach this point," she said. Her eyes piercing. Aaron bowed slightly, catching his breath. I don't know what this place wants from me." "It wants to see who you truly are," she replied. "Not as a soldier, not as a pilot, but as a human capable of choice, of courage, of connection." Her words resonated in him, echoing the loneliness he had carried for so long. He realized that every test, every leap, every moment of fear had been about trusting himself and something deeper, something intangible, about connecting with her. Aaron met her gaze, unafraid, feeling the quiet thrill of being truly seen. Queen Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile, rare and dangerous. "You have passed the first trial, human, but the hardest is yet to come." Aaron's heart raced, anticipation and dread twisting together. He didn't know if he would survive what came next, but for the first time in his life, he felt that loneliness was no longer a weakness, and it was a spark. And somewhere in the Citadel, the stars themselves seemed to lean closer, watching, waiting, as a human and an alien queen began a connection that might change the galaxy, the Queen's secret. Aaron followed Queen Lyra deeper into the Citadel, the corridors now alive with a soft, radiant glow. Each step seemed to hum with power. As if the walls themselves were breathing, he had survived the first trial, but a lingering unease crawled up his spine. The air felt charged, like the calm before a cosmic storm. They arrived in a chamber unlike any Aaron had seen before. Crystals floated mid-air, pulsing with colors he couldn't name. The light refracted into countless shapes, casting shadows that danced and whispered. Lyra's eyes reflected the brilliance, yet her expression was unreadable. She gestured for him to step forward, her voice soft yet commanding. "This chamber holds truths most humans are unprepared to face," she said. Aaron swallowed. "What truths?" She paused, letting the weight of the silence answer him first. "About your kind, and about me," she whispered, almost mournfully. Aaron's curiosity overpowered his fear. "Tell me," he urged. Lyra's gaze softened, revealing a depth of sorrow that touched him. "Loneliness is not merely the absence of company. Human," she began. "It is a choice, a burden carried by those who reach too far. You Terrans spread across the stars, seeking, exploring, yet rarely finding connection." Aaron felt a pang of guilt, remembering battles fought, friends lost, and voices never heard. Her words were not accusatory, and they were a mirror reflecting his soul. Then she revealed the secret that had shaped the Dominion for millennia. A shimmering sphere materialized, showing a vision of countless worlds on each. Humans had interacted briefly with the Valtari, yet none had ever endured the trials. None had ever reached this point. "They fail not because they are weak. Human," Lyra said, her voice trembling slightly. "They fail because they fear what they cannot control. And they fail to see the strength in solitude." Aaron stepped closer, captivated. "And me?" he asked quietly. "You carry solitude not as a curse, but as a weapon," Lyra said. Her hand hovered above the sphere, and for a moment, it seemed she could reach into his mind. "I have watched countless humans, but few awaken what lies within. You have survived, not by strength of arms, but by the courage to trust yourself." Aaron felt something shift inside him. The emptiness he had carried across light years, the isolation that haunted his nights. It no longer felt heavy. It was fuel, burning with potential. He realized he wasn't just a lost human floating in space. He was someone capable of shaping destiny, someone who could stand before an alien queen and not falter. Then Lyra stepped closer, her violet eyes locking with his. "There is one final secret," she whispered. Aaron's pulse quickened, unsure whether to feel hope or dread. "The Citadel tests more than skill." "Human," she said, her voice barely audible. "It tests the heart, and only those whose hearts are true can wield the power within these walls." Aaron took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words settle over him. He had faced monsters, void storms, and the coldness of space, but nothing had ever felt so terrifying or exhilarating. He knew the next trial would define him, not as a soldier, not as a wanderer, but as a human capable of changing the fate of worlds. For the first time, loneliness felt like a companion, not an enemy. And somewhere deep inside, Aaron realized that the alien queen's gaze carried more than curiosity. It carried a challenge, an unspoken promise, and he was ready to face it, no matter what lay ahead. The choice beyond stars. Aaron stood at the heart of the Citadel, the chamber glowing with a light that seemed alive. The air vibrated with energy, as if the walls themselves were waiting for him to make a decision. Queen Lyra's presence was overwhelming, yet not threatening. Her violet eyes searched his soul, reading every fear, every hope, every lonely moment he had carried across the stars. "You have come far, human," she said, her voice echoing softly. "Few of your kind would have endured what you have, but now, the final choice is yours." Aaron felt a chill run through him. He had faced impossible odds, leapt over voids of death, and survived trials that tested more than skill. Now, he had to decide whether to embrace the unknown or return to the familiar emptiness of his world. A vision unfolded before him in the sphere of light. He saw humanity reaching for the stars, struggling, thriving, faltering, and at the center of it all, a human standing not alone, but united with the Valtari. He saw the queen not as a distant ruler, but as a partner, a guide, a reflection of what connection could mean. Aaron's heart pounded. The choice was terrifying, yet exhilarating. "Do you understand?" Lyra asked softly. Aaron nodded. I think so." Her gaze softened, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "You carry loneliness as a weapon, human," she said. "But it can also be a bridge." The chamber shifted, stars swirling around them as if the universe itself awaited his answer. Aaron took a deep breath, feeling the weight of centuries of solitude lift from his shoulders. "I choose connection," he said, his voice steady. The citadel hummed. Responding to his decision, energy pulsed through the chamber, wrapping him in warmth, clarity, and purpose. He realized that loneliness had not been his enemy. It had prepared him, shaped him, honed him into someone capable of this moment. Lyra stepped forward, her hand reaching for his for the first time. Aaron felt not fear, not doubt, but trust. Together they touched the sphere, and light exploded around them. Visions of galaxies, humans, and Valtari intertwined. Aaron felt the bond form, fragile, powerful, infinite. It was a promise, a beginning, and an answer to a question he had carried for a lifetime. "Do you feel lonely, human?" Lyra asked again. Aaron smiled, no longer afraid of the silence. "Not anymore," he replied. And in that moment, he understood the true power of connection. The loneliness he had feared had become his strength. And in the heart of the citadel, a human and an alien queen began a journey that would echo across the stars. The universe was vast, dangerous, and lonely, but no longer for him. Because some bonds could defy galaxies and some choices could change the fate of worlds. The citadel pulsed with life, a living testament to courage, trust, and the power of a human heart. Aaron stood tall, no longer alone, and somewhere deep in the void, the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if applauding the human who had embraced his loneliness and turned it into something extraordinary.